Welcome, travelers, to my realm of nightmares. Allow me to be your personal assistant. Come in, take a seat, get comfortable. For when you step into my realm, there's no stepping out.
Hello, travelers. PA Nightmares here. I've noticed that over 30% of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. So, if you're a new or a returning viewer and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you like what I do, liking the video and commenting as well, as it really helps push this video into the algorithm and it really does help the channel grow. Well, I've taken enough of your time. On to the main event. Have you ever had one of those moments? You know, the ones that just change the path of your life? Well, I had one of those happen back when I was 6. I am 18 and just got out of the foster system. I am still in therapy, and I am sure I'll be for the rest of my life. However, one of my therapists suggested I start journaling to tell my story in a safe place. While that is a great idea, I actually figured I would kill 2 birds with 1 stone, as the metaphor goes. I want to tell my story and warn any poor soul this creature may visit. As I said, I was 6, and this was back on the Christmas of 2015. Elf on a Shelf was still at the height of its popularity. I love those creepy fucking things. But as I got older, I was such an idiotic kid, thinking 6 was old. But I did, and I wanted a big kid's elf, not one of those little boring things. So, I did what any kid would do. I wrote a letter to Santa and asked him for a bigger, more lifelike elf. Man, this is where I fucked up. From what I recall, the letter went something like this. Dear Santa, as you know, I am 6 and officially a big boy. I have been a good boy all year long. I want a living elf, or something that's more lifelike, to be my elf on the shelf buddy. If you could spare one of your elves, I would really be so happy. Don't judge me, okay? I was 6. But a week later, on December 1st, I got exactly what I had wished for. A package that was marked from Santa was on my doorstep with my name on the tag. Wrapped in a bright red and green Christmas paper, I grabbed the package and ran into the house to show my mom and dad. The interaction went something like this. Mommy, Daddy, look at what Santa sent me. He sent me a gift. Before they could stop me, I had the paper ripped off, and in a beautifully carved wooden box was a sleeping elf. On the box were, I don't know what to call them, runes, sigils, but I think they were preventing the elf from escaping. But I'll talk more about them later. The freaky thing was, the second I opened the box, its eyes opened up. No, it did not come to life or talk. It was more like one of those dolls that, when they lay down, their eyes shut, but once you pick them up, they open. But he did not need to be picked up. Both my mother and father got into an argument about whether either of them bought me a gift, and if not, where did the damn thing come from? In the end, they figured a friend of mine had gotten me a gift and was doing a secret Santa thing, so they let me keep it. Life went on as normal for a few days. Mom and Dad would put the elf in locations of the house and say it was watching me. I now know that it wasn't watching me, it was watching my mother and father. Again, I'm getting a bit off track. We'll get there shortly. As the elf was moving through the house, life went on as normal. I was a kid, so of course I acted out and was punished fairly. I want it to be understood that my parents never abused me or were anything but amazing to me. I will go into more details. I remember the weeks leading up to that tragic Christmas. Like I said, the first week nothing happened. The elf was moved, I went to school, and we decorated for Christmas. The second week I was a little naughty. I wanted a gift from the store. My parents told me that maybe Santa would bring it to me. I threw a fit in the store, and when we got home, my mother sent me in my room until dinner was ready. I came out, ate, and was sent back to my room. My parents did not take my toys away, but they did yell at me. I guess this was strike one. Thinking back, after they yelled at me, is when it all went to shit. The next morning, I was abruptly woken up by my dad. I was dragged downstairs, and on the wall was this note.
Be nice. I will not warn twice.
My father asked me what this was, and I told him I did not know who or how they got there. Of course, he thought I was lying, so he forced me to wash it off the wall, and I was grounded for a week. No TV and no toys. As an adult, that's not the end of the world, but at that time, it was. So what did I do? I went to the elf and pleaded with him not to tell Santa I was naughty. I did not write on the wall, I swear. That was when I noticed it was holding a marker. When I looked up at it, I asked this question to it. Thinking back, this was probably strike two. Did you do that? And I swear to God, that fucking thing winked at me. Like any child would, I went and told my dad it was the elf, and he thought I was lying. I once again got yelled at and was sent to my room, this time without dinner. The next morning, I went over to the elf. I was still being moved around, and I asked it not to hurt my parents. That they are really very kind, just stressed. And lo and behold, the next week and a half was good. Nothing happened, life was normal, and then it happened. Strike three. This was when everything went down, and the images that still haunt my nightmares were born. I was running through the house, playing with a toy airplane my parents had bought me last Christmas. I was not paying attention and tripped over an extension cord that was powering the tree, tripping right into the tree and knocking it over. My mother's tree topper was a glass angel. It was her mom's before her, and her mom's before that. It was a precious family heirloom, shattered into a million pieces. At first, when my parents heard the crash, they were worried about me, until they saw the tree. The second they saw it, my mother took off in tears, and my dad went into a white-hot rage. What did you do, boy? My father didn't yell. He asked us in a tone that was ice cold. Daddy, I was just playing and I tripped over the cord, and I knocked the tree over. I'm so sorry. I will clean it up. I finished, hoping that would make it better, but he just grabbed me, took me to his office, and paddled my ass. After that, he cleaned up my mess and did not talk to me at all for the rest of the day. Neither of them did. That's the last memory of my parents. You're about to find out. Viewer discretion is advised. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve, and I was hoping that it'd be a good day, despite everything that happened. But that was not meant to be at all. All day, I was worried about what the elf may do. If it didn't like my parents yelling at me, it would be very angry about them striking me. Unfortunately, it would not be long before I got my answer. As I just mentioned, this is the part of the story that is not for the ones with a weak stomach or constitution. So if that is you, I will ask you to stop reading from here. All that proceeded after this point, you have been warned. I had a hard time falling asleep that night, but I finally did. But it was only for a short time. I was abruptly woken up to my bedroom door being opened, and I heard footsteps walking to my bed. Dad, Mom, is that you? I called out, but the voice that called back was neither of my parents. This is what it said, to the best of my memory.
Oh, no. I am not your awful parents. I am your friend you asked Santa for. I am here to keep you happy and safe. I have sent my report back to Santa, and he has given me the green light to take care of your parents. Go back to sleep, and when you wake, you will be free.
The elf said in a creepy, joyful voice. It left my room, and I just lay there and I heard the first scream. I heard my mother scream, and I bolted from my bed, throwing open my door with all the strength that I had. I ran down the hall and rounded the corner. I could see my parents' door was open. They normally shut it, so I ran into the room, and what I saw was nothing. No one was in there, but I heard my mom scream again. This time, I could hear it from the downstairs living room. I stopped in my tracks. The elf was talking to my parents and had them tied to a chair.
Oh, ho, ho! You have been very naughty, and I am here to show you what happens to naughty parents when they have a good boy.
They turned to look at me, and I pissed my pants, but I was still immobilized by fear. The elf climbed atop my father, plucked the eyes out of his head, and did the same to my mother. It inserted hooks into them and hung them on the Christmas tree it had set up. The screams that came from them would have been bad enough, but then he gutted them. The sounds of him slicing them open, organs falling to the floor. The squishing of his feet on the pools of blood was the worst. I couldn't do anything. It was like he had me paralyzed and was forcing me to watch as he mutilated my parents. I used the intestines as garland to finish decorating the tree. After he was finished, he walked over to me.
My child, you have a very Merry Christmas. Santa will be here soon to deliver all your gifts and to take me back to his workshop. It was a real joy getting to be your elf this year. Maybe next year I'll see you again.
He drew a smiley face and blood on my cheeks and went back to his box. The second he entered it, the lid snapped back into place and he went back to sleep. Not long after, Santa did indeed come and collected his little elf. He gave me my gifts and left without a word. I don't know how long I was sitting in the pool of my parents' blood, but by the time the cops found me, it was cold and congealed. I had not slept, eaten, or moved in the entire time. But they came in and asked me what had happened. I told them what I told you here. They did not believe me. They thought it was the work of some serial killer. So let this be a warning to all of you. If you receive an unexpected gift from Santa, and if that thing is in a box marked with unknown sigils or runes, do not open that box. Parents, be on your best behavior, or you will not make it to see another Christmas with your kids. Believe me or not, this is the truth of what happened to me.
They're making their list, they're checking it twice. They already know who's naughty or nice. The Christmas elves are coming to town. They're watching you play, watching you sleep. They even know what you're going to eat. The Christmas elves are watching you now.
If you don't already have an elf on the shelf, come get one now. They are selling fast and supplies are limited. The TV plays as the sound of a crackling fire can be heard. Ugh, those damn things give me the creeps, said a petite blonde from the other end of their spacious living room. Yeah, hun, but you know Alan wants one. Yes, I know, James. I shall go to the store later to get him one of those creepy fuckers. Maggie, when you give it to him, can you sound, I don't know, a little less creeped out? James laughed as his wife blushes. Shut up, James. Like they don't freak you out. Maggie lets out a chuckle. It's not that they creep me out, but the eyes are just so lifeless, yet somehow they just watch you. It's unnatural. The two sat in the living room, drinking their coffee by the fire. They had cultivated a lovely morning tradition over the years of being together. The couple works so much and has different hours. This was one of the few times they got to be with one another before Alan, their 6-year-old son, got up. James worked 12-hour shifts at the office. Even on the weekends, his boss would have him come in. So, typically, when he got home, he would eat, sleep, shower, and repeat. But thankfully this year, he had been promoted and was given Christmas off, so the couple would celebrate this Christmas right. That meant getting Alan one of those fucking elf on the shelves. James finished his coffee, kissed his wife goodbye, and left for work. Moments after, the familiar call of Alan waking up and asking his mother what was for breakfast was heard. She sighed and walked up the stairs. "Good morning, honey. How did you sleep?" Maggie asked in a cheerful tone. Alan called back to her. "Great, Mommy. What are we doing today?" Alan asked excitedly, knowing his mother promised to take him out today. "Well, baby, After we get you dressed and fed, I'll take you to the store to see Santa and get an elf on the shelf. I know you've been wanting one for a while now, and I got the money saved up, so time to get you one of Santa's little helpers. Despite Maggie's reservations, seeing Alan's face light up made it worthwhile. The morning passed by quickly. Alan was excited to go, so he gave her none of his typical issues. They left the house, got in the car, and drove to the mall. Maggie and Alan made a beeline for the Christmas store from the commercial earlier. "Mommy, Mommy, down there, Mommy!" Alan shouted excitedly as a display with a massive picture of the elf could be seen. "Yes, baby, I see. Let's go." Walking down the aisle, she quickly noticed there were no elves on the shelf left. Alan, unfortunately, noticed this as well. "Mommy, where are they? You promised I would get one," he whined, much to her displeasure. She, however, tried to ease his mind. "Hey, maybe they don't have any out here yet. Let's go ask if there are any in the back." She held her son's hand as they searched for an associate. They found a young boy, probably in his early 20s, and approached him. "Hi, sir. May I ask a question?" Maggie approached the young man with a smile. "Why, yes. What can I do for you, miss?" the boy asked. "I was hoping you might have some more elves on the shelf in the back. I didn't see any on the shelf, and my son here desperately wants one," she finished hopefully. "I'm sorry, miss. Well, the ones we had were already on the shelves. If you didn't see one, we were out, unfortunately," he said with honest sympathy in his voice. He looked down at her son, who he knew was on the verge of a breakdown. He got down on one knee. "Hey, buddy, I know you're sad we don't have an elf, but all hope's not lost. Santa's at the mall today. Why not go ask him for one? I'm sure he'll give you an extra special elf for an extra special boy." Immediately, Alan's eyes lit up, and he asked if they could go now. Maggie looked back at the kid and mouthed the words "thank you" while being dragged away by her son, and it took far too long for a visit with a bloody mall Santa. But Maggie knew this would at least appease her son until they could manage to find an elf for him to have, so he would stop bugging them. Finally, after over an hour, it was their turn. Alan walked up to Santa and jumped into his lap. "Ho, ho, ho! And what can Santa bring you for Christmas, little boy?" The actor asked Alan in an energetic tone. His cheeks were rosy, and he was a plump man. Whoever they got to play Santa was really playing the part. Almost like he read her mind. "I am not playing Santa, Maggie. I am the real thing." "Wait, what? How did you know my name and what I was thinking?" He and her son laughed, so Maggie figured her son had told him what her name was, and he was just assuming most parents thought the same, that he was just some paid actor, and she left it at that. Alan finished telling him what he wanted for Christmas, and then, almost as an afterthought, he said, "Santa, I have been a very good boy, and I want an elf on the shelf, but I can't find one anywhere. Please send me an elf from your workshop to be my buddy." He sounded so sweet and sincere. "Oh my, that is a mighty big ask, my young man. But let me check my naughty list to see how good you've been." Santa whistled and said, My, you have been a good boy this year. I will see which elf is free and send him right down." Santa finished with a wink, and just like that, Alan was by my side, excited as could be. The drive home, the whole time, Alan could not stop talking about his soon-to-be new buddy. Of course, Maggie thought the Santa was just pulling her son's leg, and in a few days, she'd have to tell him he must have forgotten, or Santa didn't have any elves free to be his buddy. Well, that's what she thought at least. But that's not what happened. Almost as if by magic, a package sat on the porch when they pulled into their driveway. Not thinking much of it, Maggie picked it up, carried it into the house, and told Alan to get ready for dinner. She quickly forgot about the package until Alan came down and asked her what was in it. The question made her curious, so she opened it up. Inside, there was an elf. Not your typical elf on a shelf that is sold in the stores. No, this one was more like a ventriloquist dummy, like Slappy from Goosebumps or Chucky from Child's Play. Honestly, the thing was creepy as hell. Maggie took the elf out of the box, and a note fell out. "To Alan, who I spoke to at the mall. Right after we talked, I contacted my workshop and asked them to send you out an elf who had already completed his work for this year. I am told they sent you out Noel. He is my best elf and has been sent out to many other boys. He will be your friend until Christmas. He will be my eyes and ears, not only for you, but for your mom and dad. So be good, and I'll see you Christmas. With warmest regards, Santa. Ho, ho, ho. Maggie read this letter once more, wondering how in the hell this letter could have possibly come so fast after Alan had just seen Santa. I mean, no letter at all should have come, but that's when Maggie figured it out. She had texted her hubby, telling him what had happened at the mall. He must have found an elf, bought it, and dropped it off on his break. After coming to this conclusion, she sent a text to him saying, "Thank you so much for what you did, my love. I'll be sure to give you a reward later on." James quickly responded with, "What did I do?" She messaged him a picture of the elf and said, "You know what you did, James. Thank you." Alan is thrilled. James, not wanting to worry his wife and trying to figure out what had happened, just said, "You're welcome. See you tonight. Love you." Maggie set the elf on the counter facing the dinner table and looked at Alan. "We will set him here for now. This way he can keep an eye on you while you eat dinner. Remember to eat your veggies and not fuss about it, or Noel will tell Santa." Maggie smiled, thinking this would be a great way to get him to eat healthier, since Alan never liked to eat vegetables. It's been an endless struggle with limited success. "Oh, okay, Mommy," Alan said defeatedly. After that, Maggie went back to making dinner while he played up in his room. As Maggie finished up dinner, James walked into the house. "Honey, I'm home." "In the kitchen, hon. I just finished up dinner. When you go upstairs to change, can you get Alan down here for dinner as well?" "Sure thing, babe. Be down in 10. James went up, changed his clothing, and washed up. After that, he went and knocked on his son's room. "Hey, bud, Mom said dinner was ready. Go downstairs, and you can show me this new elf Santa left for you," he said with a smile on his face. "Sure thing, Daddy." Alan tossed the toy he was playing with into his toy box and came down with his dad. As soon as they got downstairs, Alan ran to the elf, asking his mom to get it off the counter for him. No, Alan. We can't have him till after dinner," she said to her son, but this almost immediately set him off. "No, Mommy. I need him now. Daddy said he wanted to see him, so I need him. Give him to me now." Alan finished up, and the next thing he knew, a hand smacked him in the mouth. "You listen here. You do not talk to your mother like that. Now, go sit down at the table before you earn a spanking. Dad can see the elf after dinner." End of discussion. Tears brimmed in his eyes, but he quietly walked to his chair and sat down. His mom made a good meal, but she gave him extra vegetables, probably as a form of some punishment. "Mom, you know I hate vegetables. Why did you give me so many?" he asked. "Just eat them and don't give me any trouble after the stunt you pulled. You're on thin ice, young man. You understand?" Dinner passed in silence, with Alan eating every last bite of his dinner. After, he looked at his dad. "May I be excused, Daddy?" "Yes, son, but didn't you want to show me your elf? You were so excited before dinner," his father asked, trying to cheer him up. "No, Dad, not anymore. Mother knows where he is if you want to look at him." After that, Alan looked at his mother, giving her a look that would have curdled milk, and walked to his room. Later, he heard a knock on his door, and his mom poked her head in. "Hey, honey. I'm sorry I was so hard on you earlier, but it's bedtime," she said, trying to cheer him up. "Yeah, whatever, Mom. I'll go to bed then." He tossed the Legos he was playing with in his toy box, changed, and crawled into bed. "Would you like a bedtime story, buddy? You know Christmas Eve is in 2 days. I can read you a Christmas story, maybe The Grinch?" "No, Mom, not tonight. I just want to sleep. Love you," he said bluntly. "Oh, okay. I love you too," she said, hurt in her voice. This made Alan feel bad, so he finished with, "Definitely tomorrow, Mom. I can't wait." She smiled. "Sounds good, hun. Good night." The next day, Alan woke up and went downstairs. He received angry looks from his mother and father. He spoke up. "Mom? Dad? Are you guys okay? You look mad." "Sit down," his father ordered. "What's wrong, Dad?" "Do you know anything about this note?"
Last night, you were naughty to my friend, little Alan. You yelled at him and forced him to eat something he did not like. In my eyes, that's 2 strikes. But I'll be nice and warn you once. If you treat him poorly again, I'll have to do to you what I've done to countless other naughty mommies and daddies. Remember, I will not warn twice. Signed, No.
What is this? I did not write it. It says right here that Noel did. Why would I do this? Mommy, you know after I went to bed last night I forgave you. I was no longer angry. So why would I do this? I don't know, Alan. That's why I'm asking you, she retorted. After that, Alan started to get upset and yelled at them. You both are being stupid and unfair. This is not my handwriting. I would never do this. You both suck. I hate you. Alan yelled at his parents and stormed off. With that, he ran off back into his room. Getting back to his room, the elf Noel was sitting on his bed. Confused as to how he got there, Alan asked, Did you write the note? In response, the elf winked and fell over as the bedroom door opened. His father stormed in, anger on his face. Son, you will never talk to me or your mother like that again. This letter is unacceptable. Get over here now, the father ordered. Alan walked over to his dad and stood there. His dad took off his belt. Dad, this is not a good idea. Alan points to the elf. He's watching you. I don't want anything to happen to you or Mom. The father scoffed and bent him over his knee, giving him 3 good swats on the rump. Now, it didn't hurt that much. His parents were not into physical discipline, so his dad's heart was not in it. It was more like the action than the pain that upset Alan. He hated feeling like he had disappointed his parents, but he feared what the elf would do to his parents the most. After this, his dad left. He ran over to Noel. Please, please don't hurt my mommy or daddy. They are very good to me. You just arrived at a bad time. Just watch. You will see how good they are to me. Alan pleaded to Noel, but he did not say anything, which he took as a good sign. He should not have. The next day passed normal enough, as did most of Christmas Eve. That was, until he went to bed. His parents tucked him in. He apologized again, as they did so he thought all was well. But at around 3 in the morning, a loud crash could be heard. Alan got out of bed and went to his parents' room to wake them up, and to tell them someone had broken in. But when he got there, no one was to be found. So Alan slowly went downstairs. A light was on in the living room, so he walked in. The sight he witnessed caused him to stop where he stood. Noel had his parents tied to a chair. He stood atop of his dad with a pair of scissor-looking things, and he was cutting off his fingers one by one. Every time he did, a loud snap, followed by an even more deafening scream from his father. Finally, Alan found his voice. Noel, what are you doing to my dad? Noel looked up at Alan and spoke.
Ah, Alan, my boy. You should have stayed in bed and spared yourself the sight of your parents' punishment. They were naughty with how they treated you, my friend, and now Santa's best helper must once again do what he does best, punish the naughty. You can stay if you like, or return to bed. Your choice.
Alan just fell to the ground and started to cry. I asked you not to hurt them, he said in between sobs.
Yes, you did. You were such a good little boy. Unlike your parents, but I will teach them what happens when they are naughty.
Noel said with a smile. As he finished cutting the fingers off his father, he poked out the eyes, cut out his tongue, then, placing hooks through them all, placed them on the Christmas tree.
Aha! That adds some flair. But it's not done just yet.
Noel left the room and came back with a butcher's knife. Noel approached his mother and started to cut open her stomach. He then gutted her and wrapped her internal organs around the tree. Finally, he grabbed the heart that was still beating, albeit very slowly, from her chest, and he floated to the top of the tree, placing the heart at the top of the tree.
Ah, now that is a perfect tree topper. What do you think, Alan?
Alan did not notice it, but he had moved to his mother's lap, sitting there covered in blood. He looked at Noel and could not speak. The silence was broken by something loud descending from the chimney. "What is that?" Alan said to himself more than anything else, but Noel replied nevertheless.
"Oh, that's the boss,"
he said with a grin. As he said this, Santa came into view. "Ho, ho, ho! Noel, you have made quite the mess, didn't you?" Santa said in his jolly booming voice.
"The parents were extra naughty, so I had a bit of fun with them."
"Oh, well, I see. How's our little friend doing?"
"Oh, Alan here is one of the most well-behaved children I have ever had the privilege of watching over."
"Ho, ho, ho! Well then, Alan, I have many gifts for you," Santa said as he placed them under the gore-covered tree. And just like that, Noel and Santa went back up the chimney in a flash of white light. What felt like hours later, the cops showed up. I don't know how, but I guess my neighbor called it in. They must have heard my mom and dad screaming. I told them what had happened, but I heard them talking amongst themselves. They said this must be the work of some twisted serial killer, that it took many more lives on different Christmases, and took me to live with my aunt and uncle. I know this much at least. I will never ask Santa for another thing as long as I live, and you should not either. I would like to thank tonight's author or authors for allowing me to use their works. If you enjoyed this, the authors' links will be in the description below. Please check them out and let them know PA sent you. Also, if you like to walk around representing my realm and gaining new travelers, the links to my merch store, my website, and all my other social medias will be in the description below. As always, I'd like to say a special thank you to all my lovely Patreons. All of their names will appear on screen. I'll make sure to put all their links in the description below so you guys can check them out as well if you'd like.
But as always, travelers, once you step into my realm, there's no stepping out.